in calling out the lie that Kamala Harris continues to regurgitate about the 2024 election. Check this out. Here she was again.
And here's the other thing that is quite unprecedented. And it was the tightest, closest presidential election in the 21st century. He does not have a mandate. That is not a mandate. That is not a mandate.
Screeching like a lunatic that he doesn't have a mandate because the election was the closest, tightest race in the 21st century. How do you keep saying that? Well, thankfully, there are some common sense broadcasters who've noticed this unbelievable lie that Cackles continues to spout. His name is Bill Maher from over there on HBO.
Kamala Harris's new memoir of the 24 election is called 107 Days, but it should have been called Everyone Sucks But Me. 107 Days is a victim's title because, get it, she only had 107 days to win. Yeah, and $1.5 billion and a built-in army of about 75 million people who'd vote for any human-adjacent life form that wasn't Trump. But in 107 days, nothing is ever Kamala's fault. Biden lets her down by not stepping down sooner. Pouty face emoji. Gavin Newsom, he was asked for his endorsement, but texted, "Hiking, we'll call back." But then never did. And then he didn't even ask her to prom. America itself lets Kamala down by not being ready for the running mate she really wanted, Pete Buttigieg. So she's stuck with the Home Depot paint salesman. And the rest is herstory. Poor Kamala. We made her the star of a rom-com and didn't even give her a gay best friend. Kamala writes that on election night, when it was clear she lost, an aide peeled the words "Madam President" off the cupcakes before handing them out. Oh, geez, that's like a scene from Bridget Jones Runs for President, for Christ's sake.
To watch the universe turn on Democrats. I mean, even Kirsten Welker yesterday on NBC's Meet the Press. Check out what Kirsten Welker, now you know she's a lefty. She's obviously part of the media establishment. She even calls out the Democrats over their government shutdown hypocrisy.
But let me ask you, because you say this is a Republican shutdown, but it's Democratic senators who are withholding their votes on what is called a clean resolution. That means no strings attached, which is something, quite frankly, Leader, that you and other Democrats have advocated for in the past. Take a look.
You do not use the threat of shutting down government to try to advance your policy agenda.
First thing that the House has to do is pass a clean 6-week CR.
A continuing resolution that is at the fiscal year 2023 levels is the only way forward.
And that's what the Democrats now are shutting down. Even Kirsten Welker. I always say, is it Kristen or Kirsten? I always get those words, that name mixed up. I think maybe it's Kristen. I don't know. Somebody put it on the screen. I think it's C-I. Is it K-I-R or K-R-I? Kristen Welker. She's calling out Hakeem Jeffries. He's sitting there looking constipated on TV because he's going, uh-oh, she's going to play the clip where I've always advocated for a clean continuing resolution. And now I'm not doing it. Now I've got to stop Trump because I got to stop Trump. I got to stop Trump because I'm stopping Trump. And now people are going to feel the pain of a government shutdown. How much pain is debatable. But I love it when they say the quiet part out loud. Here's the lefty Jonathan Capehart. He's the guy that got fired from the Washington Post. Remember when our colleague Hugh Hewitt stormed off of an interview with Jonathan Capehart because Capehart was attacking Hugh's credibility? And for many years, Hugh was a writer at the Washington Post. We always gave him a hard time for that. It's like, Hugh, what are you thinking, man? What are you doing right for the Washington? There you are hanging out with Chuck Todd in the Washington Post. But Hugh has come around. And that was one of his finest hours when he pulled the earpiece out of his ear after this guy, Jonathan Capehart, insulted Hugh's integrity in a big way, and Hugh had just finally had enough. Well, here was Capehart, who also apparently has a gig on PBS. I mean, it is kind of amazing. Some of these folks that are the worst of the worst, they've got more gigs than an actor working the national tour circuit. I mean, Capehart is PBS and NBC and Washington Post and MSNBC. These folks have paychecks coming from all different directions. And, of course, the now defunded PBS, although that is still up in the air, I guess. But I give you the best and the brightest of PBS, Jonathan Capehart, saying the quiet part out loud that, of course, the Democrats are to blame for the government shutdown. Of course they're the ones who did it. But don't worry, they're doing it because, well, Trump.
And Senator Schumer, who was on this program back in March, he said the country avoided disaster when he voted to keep the government open. Republicans are calling that out and saying it's hypocritical. In your view, why isn't it?
Well, one, we're talking about a shutdown caused by Republicans not wanting to do something on health care. I mean, you can argue whether this is the time to do it. Democrats have decided this is the time to do it, especially since letters are going out next month to consumers on the American, the Affordable Care Act exchanges that their premiums are going to go up. And then they're going to go up starting in the new year. And so Democrats are saying, well, we've got to do something to help the American people. And the Republicans basically said no. And so I think that, you know, we can argue whether this is a good time to do this and whether Democrats should do it. I argue Democrats absolutely should do it because they're doing it for all the right reasons.
There you go. There you go. There's the confession. There's the admission of, look, the Schumer shutdown has backfired on Democrats bigly. America knows who the exact culprits are responsible for the government shutdown, and it sure isn't the Republicans. So you own that, Jonathan Capehart. Good for you. I'm glad you went from crying with the January 6th police officer one day to admitting that it's completely the Democrats' fault that there's a government shutdown. And right now, a whole bunch of people are working without a paycheck. You know what's going to happen, right? You know what's going to occur. Trump is going to fire thousands and thousands of government workers and replace them with MAGA. Replace them with common sense conservatives. Sort of liberal-proof the federal government for years to come. Not too bad, huh?
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.